Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts for one of the most interesting scenarios that I have received in the comment section. Here's what we're doing today. The title is The Secret German Arctic Dash. The scenario is as follows. Late January 1943, Hitler had ordered the surface fleet to be scrapped. Although the Kriegsmarine managed to convince him otherwise, construction of any major surface ships had been entirely halted. Work on both carrier Seydlitz and Graf Zeppelin was halted. With the two ships being basically useless, the Kriegsmarine decided to sell the two ships to the Japanese, who were in desperate need of more carriers after the Battle of Midway and the Solomon Islands campaign. The two ships would not be able to escape to the Atlantic and sail around the Horn of Africa due to the British blockade. Instead, the Kriegsmarine chose to send them through the Arctic Ocean, hoping that there is less Allied presence in the region. Due to the ship's short range, the Germans will send a fleet oiler to accompany the two ships for the trip. An icebreaker and 4 escorting destroyers will also partake in this operation. The 4 destroyers will withdraw back to Germany, having completed 1/3 of the trip. The German incomplete carriers will be unescorted in the middle of the operation. The Japanese will escort the Germans for the remaining 1/3. However, British codebreakers learned of this operation and alerted the Soviet Union to intercept the enemy fleet. The Soviets sent 8 of their most modern destroyers and 2 of their Kirov-class light cruisers to intercept the Germans. You are playing as the Germans and your goal is to escape the Soviet fleet. You will win when the Soviets can no longer see you for more than 10 minutes in-game time. You will lose if one of your transports or carriers is sunk. Now, this is where the situation gets really interesting, because normally it'd just be, okay, go build a ship and make sure it escapes, which already is an interesting scenario, but there's a catch. As the Germans, I'm going to be playing with 1935 technology, and I will have one battleship, which is let's say the Graf Zeppelin. This is of your design. Maximum of 4 inches of armor and secondary guns no larger than 6 inch. No torpedoes. Maximum tonnage, 35,000 tons. Okay, decent rolls. Here's the catch. Turn off main guns in battle. I know the game requires you to mount at least one. You can do whatever you want elsewhere. Right. I'll also have a heavy cruiser, the Seydlitz. I'll have 2 transports. I'm going to up that to 2. And the icebreaker and the fleet oiler. I'll also have 4 destroyers. The Russians, 1940s technology. They will have 2 light cruisers and 8 destroyers. If these guys are going to go for high-end torpedoes, they will definitely be in range. So it's going to time to design a battleship. Or, battleship, if you will. Now, my limitation is a maximum of 35,000 tons. So the Dreadnoughts and the battleships are all out the window. It's going to have to be Dreadnought 2, with a maximum displacement of 35,000 tons. Now supposedly this thing has short range, because that's why I have an oiler with me. Bulkheads, I'm not even sure how many bulkheads a carrier would have. Now of course, there are no carriers in the game at this point. I don't know if they're going to be added, but judging by the current state of the game, I don't believe so. Simply reasoning that it would take a huge overhaul in order to get that done. Anyway, what do I have to work with? It's 1935. I'm going to try and build this thing in a sort of carrier style, as much as I can fathom it to be. Because, of course, the game doesn't allow you to build carriers, so I'm going to have to improvise a bit. Forced boilers. Would a carrier have an auxiliary engine? I have no idea. Maybe? Turboelectric drive? Shaft? Maybe an advanced propeller shaft, but I don't think all the way up to here. Armor. I imagine the Germans would have armored the Graf Zeppelin pretty well. Barbettes? Well, it was built as a carrier, so no, it has no barbette thickness. Anti-torpedo belt. Let's say that the Graf Zeppelin was to be targeted by other planes. In that case, I suppose anti-torpedo protection would be mounted to make sure that the ship doesn't take too many hits. Hull? I don't know, double bottom? Let's go for reinforced bulkheads, especially watertight doors in the bulkheads will be important. Let's say that the ship was a carrier, in which case it would probably have these bulkheads just to make sure that the planes inside would be safe. Anti-flooding, fairly minimum, I suppose. Citadel? I don't know. Armored citadel, maybe? Now, main tower. I'm not going to be using my main guns anyway. This ship wouldn't have a lot of accuracy on the tower, so I'm going to go with the lowest tower that I can get. That's tower 8. And then for the secondary tower, tower 5. It's a pretty bare-bones ship at the moment. We'll also need a funnel. Ideally, of course, I would place that off to the side somewhere in a, let's say, a more carrier fashion, but that's not going to work. So just a couple of funnels. I'm not even sure if I need to, by the way. Engine efficiency is, yeah, it's at 73, and now I have a bit of redundancy capacity. Okay then, moving on to the guns. I would have no real use of mounting a lot of guns, because I'm going to be disabling them anyway. So let's go for a couple of 12 inchers, and that is really all that I'll be doing with the guns. Propellant, I don't know, it might be more of an afterthought, because the ship is really only defended by 6-inch secondaries at the most. More importantly, it has a maximum of 4 inches of armor. That doesn't work. Least I can get is 8 inches on the belt armor. How low can I go for deck? 4 inch, 4 inch, 4, 4. Turret top and secondary. This is going to be a very poorly defended battleship. Very, very poorly indeed. Now, being an aircraft carrier, I imagine it would have advanced radio to make sure that it could talk to other units. And, well, maybe a stereoscopic rangefinder or a coincidence rangefinder to use those secondaries. Now, one thing I haven't discussed yet is speed. I'm going to give her 30 knots. Now, this puts me at a 21,000 displacement out of 35,000. Normally, I would try and max out the weight displacement, making sure that I put as much on here as possible, so that I actually use that capacity. Right now, I think that's not entirely accurate, because right now, it wouldn't really fit. It's an incomplete carrier that the Germans are shipping over to the Japanese. So, it makes sense that it wouldn't be finished, and it wouldn't be using the normal limits. Now what I want to try and do is put the 12-inch gun here on a... Yeah, not really. On a barbette. So when I do that, I'll be able to hopefully mount the 6-inch next to it. Or at least close to it. Yeah, no. I don't know what that was doing there. Alright, 6-inch dual barrel. I'm not sure how many secondary guns a battleship would have. Or, well, sorry, not a battleship. The Graf Zeppelin. So I'm going to say it's probably not too many. If I just give her these 6-inch guns, she will be defended, although not very well. And I cannot use torpedoes either, so I'm just trying to escape. And using my own destroyers as potentially smoke screens. And making sure that this ship can escape. Insofar as that's going to work out. Turrets. It is German after all. Could be advanced hydraulics. Loaders. Let's say enhanced. Again, it's a carrier. It's not supposed to be fighting with its guns. If it is, then something has gone wrong. Let's go for light shells. And then a radar. I imagine it might have a radar. Not so much to find the range for the guns, but to use against planes. So detection. Let's give it a Generation 1 radar. And then, well, 8 inches of belt armor. That's all I have. Of course, the biggest threat to this ship is going to be enemy torpedoes. As for my turning circle, let's see if I can find that. Surface visibility is 9.7 kilometers. But I don't really think that there's going to be any kind of escaping those ships. Because there are 8 Soviet destroyers and 2 light cruisers. Course change time, 69 seconds for a course change at full speed. Turning circle, 847 meters. Right. This has to be one of the weirdest ships that I've built. Especially since I'm going to be disabling the main guns on them too. Alright, there goes nothing. I hope that at least my destroyers are going to be something to count on. Now keep in mind, the game for me is lost under certain conditions. I will win when the Soviets can no longer see me. I will lose if one of my transports or my carriers, well, carrier in this case, sinks. So, oh actually, the battleship is 1 and the heavy cruiser is the 2nd carrier. The Seydlitz. So yeah, this one cannot die, this one cannot die, nor can the transports. Which makes it all the more complex. Because I cannot control transports. If these guys are going to be playing as, I'm hesitant to use the word brightly, as usual, they'll just try to fall back. But for all I know, they'll fall face first into enemy formation. So that's, let's say I'm not terribly happy about the way that that's going to go down. Actually, I'm going to maintain full speed. The Heimdall. No, 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 no. Hold. You're not supposed to fire. Sorry. I should have turned those off. Main guns off. There were no such limitations set for the Rune. So that's the heavy cruisers. Well, technically the Seydlitz. The other aircraft carrier. She only has 7-inch guns. And since the original offer of this scenario didn't actually write up that I was supposed to turn off the guns on the Rune, I'll not do that. What are my transports doing? They have torpedoes at a range of 12.6. Which means that fairly soon they should be in range. Can I get one of these guys to fall? Yeah, I can. I'm going to keep DD3 over here with the Lutzo and the Ersatz. And hopefully get the V2, 1 and 4 to run interference. Send out torpedoes. Here comes one of the Soviet destroyers. Looks like triple 5-inch. 1, 2, 3, 4 dual torpedo launchers and a bunch of funnels. My chances to hit are absolutely atrocious. 0.7. And the Heimdall is not even in range yet. Now, as mentioned, I will win, well, in brackets, the scenario when the Soviets can no longer see you for more than 10 minutes in-game. This is potentially going to be a long fight. Or a very short one. Depending entirely on how the battle is going to progress and how quickly those destroyers from the Russians, from the Soviets, are going to close in. Let's set a smoke screen. Maybe I can... Oh, no. Maybe I can shield my group a bit. This is going swimmingly well. I lose the scenario when one of my ships dies. Not a lot of them. One. Well, by the looks of it, that's going to be happening within a minute or two. If I make it that long. Holy Jesus. That's a lot of torpedoes. Oh, this is not good. Look at that wall. What are they launching? And how fast are they? They don't seem terribly fast, but you only need to get lucky once against a transport in order to win. V3, get outside the range of that wall. I think this gap here might be my best bet. V1 and V2 start turning. You guys still have torpedoes. Of course, these guys aren't stupid either and might also have invested in torpedo detection. Hold on, maybe the V3 can still make it. Not like that though. Not like that. Aggressive launch against this destroyer. Try and do something useful. V2, start heading back. V3 refuses to launch because the V1's in the way. Then we got the V4. The V3 was originally supposed to be the destroyer that kept the other guys safe. But I kind of don't see that happening anymore. I really hope that these things run out. No. Oh, crap. Yep. Wait, what? You were sunk by a torpedo launched by a light cruiser? What sort of... Ah. Quintuples. Oh, sorry, this is not a light cruiser. What is going on? Aha. The game still hasn't figured out what exactly what that ship is. Hence, it's sort of identifying it as a light cruiser, but it's just unidentified. That's the problem here. I don't know what I'm fighting. So the game is saying, yeah, it might be a light cruiser, but it's arguably going to be a DD. Yeah, here we go. Cool. Armed. There's... yeah, that's what I was worried about. 23-inch, 22.1 kilometer torpedoes. Fortunately, they take, well, 780 seconds to reload. But... that ain't good. V3, please tell me you have torpedoes in the water. Yeah, we do have this set over here. They have already detected the torpedoes, so they're probably making turns as these torpedoes are coming in. Even the Kulm is turning. Maybe it's going to hit the Lieutenant, but I rather doubt it. Oh, my transport's dead in the water. Fire and flooding on the V1. How fast are these? 47.5 knots? Come again? Or, well, please don't, because I don't need another visit from these torpedoes. Hold on. The torpedoes, these guys, they're slower than the destroyer. The Villain over here has a speed, top speed, 47.5. These torpedoes have a top speed of 36.5. So this guy is actually 11 knots faster. The worst thing that could happen is that they accidentally run into them as they're speeding past them. But that's really the only way that I think that that guy is going to get hit by a torpedo. And I think my destroyers just do not stand a chance here. It is not happening. Let's see how long I can stall for time. Because I still do have the Heimdall. Oh shit. I had not paid attention to what those torpedoes were doing. That skill wall that's coming my way. And as it turns out, it narrowly avoided the rune, which is standing in for the Seydlitz. These things could have done very high amounts of damage. They didn't, but they could have easily done that. Now I still have to get out of range. Come on, Heimdall, turn. And turn back. Heimdall standing in for the Graf Zeppelin. Oh, no, 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 I overcorrected! Ow. Well, she's not dead. But the Japanese might need to ready the duct tape, because this ship is not going to be arriving intact. How far are the Japanese... No, not the Japanese. How far are these guys away from me? 16-3. Just start to head out if you can. Increase the distance. The problem is my transport. This guy is just going to die. Which, according to the wind conditions, means that I lose the scenario. Something else that I'm not quite sure about. The game, or sorry, the author said you're supposed to avoid detection. Shit, more torpedoes. You're supposed to avoid detection, and if you can no longer see you for more than 10 minutes in-game, you'll win. The problem with that is that I don't know when the destroyers can't see me anymore. Look at that. That was pretty close. That torpedo right there. A bit too close for comfort, if you ask me. I don't know when the Russians can't see me. So I'm just gonna have to, well, hope, I guess, that the DDs are gonna be shielding enough to keep the guys off of me. Although that's not gonna be done by the V3 anyway. And just maybe I can still make it away with a couple of brave German sacrifices from the destroyers. And Heimdall. What's your top speed? 12 knots. So you're telling me this destroyer is almost 4 times as fast as what is supposedly the Graf Zeppelin. 17-3. Let's just have the scenario run out and see what happens. Oh, there's another skill wall coming in. Avoid. Rune, you're on your own. AKA Seydlitz. By the way, it does seem that you guys are a really big fan of scenarios that involve the Germans for one reason or another. Because all I've been getting lately is do this German ship versus that, or do this German convoy. V1 is barely capable of firing back. No, sorry, is not capable of firing back because it only has a 2-inch. Yeah, the AI really designed some beautiful ships for me, which were absolutely useless. Any chance my torpedoes are going to do something useful? Like accidentally find a ship? I can't even find my own torpedoes anymore. Oh, enemy smoke spotted to the northeast. Does that mean I'm making it away? Let's say at 9:34, we've lost sight of the enemy. So if I can survive to 9:24... including the transports, and that remains to be seen because this thing does 5 knots and they do 47. If I can survive to 9:25, I'm calling this a victory. Or 9:24. How quickly can we run away? She's listing to starboard quite severely. And to imagine that she's only in the Arctic. She's not actually even anywhere near the destination. So that means that the situation is going to get worse before it gets better. You're going to be stuck on a ship that is doing really quite poorly. And you still have, well, 10,000 nautical miles to go. At a speed of only 12.2 knots. With a damaged rudder, so even if you get engaged again, you might win it. But with a damaged rudder and 2 damaged engines, I'm not holding my breath. Especially for air attacks. That'll probably kill her. 9:28. The transports are not currently being engaged. I thought that I had lost the scenario in the first 2 minutes when they just took this transport under fire. 9:26. Come on, don't accidentally torpedo me in the next minute and a half. 9:25:50. I might just make it. 9:24:58. Now, again, the situation is that they might be able to see me and I don't see them. So I'm not sure if I'm still being trailed by these Russian ships. I might be. Crap. In 3604, so that has just happened, something has spotted the Heimdall again. So I have been redetected. I was so close to making it out. And of course, these guys have a massive spotting advantage over me. Alright, at least Seydlitz might be able to make it out. Oh no, there goes the transport. It was only a matter of time. Yep, they're going to sink the ersatz Emden. And with it, they're going to achieve their win condition, or rather my loss condition. This is why I do not like having transports on a mission. They are so weak. And they are very difficult to manage because it's AI controlled. I cannot manually tell them where to go, what speed to attain, or how to behave themselves. Although even if I did, I'm not sure if it would actually make much of a difference. Ersatz Emden burning. Engines damaged. Rudder damaged. She's flooding as well. Looks like a lot of small fire coming in from the destroyers. There's another fire set. 1496 damage, and the structural integrity is low enough for the ship to sink. And with it sinks Germany's hope of getting both the Graf Zeppelin and the Seydlitz over to Japan, because they wouldn't be able to make it. At least that's what Neurified Yamato said in his scenario. Or her, I don't know. Anyway, again, a very, very interesting scenario. And I don't think that I would be able to do this because I simply cannot fire back. And even if I could, the enemy DDs just have such a firepower advantage over me that it really doesn't matter. They would just torpedo me to death, no matter which way I go. Anyway, if you have an ingenious scenario like this, where you're just taking the whole game concept and turning it on its head, let me know, because I think that these make for the more interesting videos. But again, I'd like to hear that from you guys in the comment section. Did you enjoy this kind of a battle? This kind of a scenario? I at least did, and Neurified Yamato, thank you for writing that. It was the scenario with the most upvotes, so the most liked comments on the previous vid. And if you have a scenario of your own, make sure that you write it up. I always paste the scenario from the previous, or from let's say the current video, in the description, so you can use that as a sort of template, in the sense that, okay, this is what I need to write, and this is what apparently draws people's attention, because that is the most important thing if you want to get more upvotes. Get people's attention and make sure that it is something that appeals to people's imagination. And with that, I thank you for watching. I hope you had fun, and I shall see you guys soon for more Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts.